Are you gonna be good? Are you gonna be good? Are you gonna be good? Okay, today is yoga for anxiety. We had some technical difficulties this morning, but we made it here. We have the Fluffinator with us. She may be a little distracting, we'll see. But she's this pretty sweet girl. Hopefully she'll stay with us. So we're going to probably use the blocks today. Feel free to find something that is about the size of a yoga block if you don't have yoga blocks at home. And we are going to get started on our backs today. So come on down to your back. You must stay with us, Fluff. Come on down to your back. Start to land in the present moment. Letting go. Fluffy. Letting go of whatever came before this moment and whatever might happen after this moment, and really landing on the mat. Bringing your feet to the ground, your knees up. Start to soften your low back. Start to soften around your hips. Start to soften around the shoulders. I don't know if you can see on the screen, but Fluffy is staring down one of the unicorns as if she's hunting it. So start to land. And if it's comfortable, bringing your hands to your torso, just to start to remind you to soften all around the breath and allow the breath to start to land in the body. Trying to watch it in its natural pattern, letting go of control of the breath for the moment. Just gently starting to draw your focus inward. Beginning to have an internal experience. See if you can bring a little more softness around the hips. A little more softness around the shoulders. Bring a little more softness around the muscles of the jaw. Unclench your teeth. Soften the muscles of the face. And then placing your hands right underneath the rib cage, begin to really connect with your breath coming down to this space. Watching your stomach rise and fall with your breath. We'll begin with 4 corners breath. So we're really going to focus on bringing our breath into particular parts of our lungs. Not with muscular force, but with a lot of intention, really focusing on a certain part of our lungs. So begin to focus right here, the bottom corners of your lungs, focusing on filling up all of your breath into the very bottom parts of your lungs. And then bring your awareness to your rib cage, to the sides of your rib cage. You can place your hands here to help you bring your focus here. And start to imagine filling up your breath so much into the sides of your lungs that you're pushing your breath gently between each rib cage and between each rib. Gently watching your rib cage expand with each breath. And as you're doing this, gently try not to bring force and stress into the muscles. Soft face, soft muscles. Just bringing your breath gently into the side corners of your lungs. And then bring your awareness to your back, connecting with where your back meets the ground. And start to focus on the back of your lungs. Imagine with your breath you can just gently lift yourself up off the ground a little bit by filling up your lungs in the very back of your lungs. And then finally bring your awareness right underneath your collarbones and fill up the top corners of your lungs, watching your collarbones rise and fall with your breath. And then let all focus on your breath go. And do an internal scan, just checking in, asking yourself the question, how am I? And then gently bringing a knee in at a time. Give yourself a little hug. And then take the feet up to the ceiling. And look at the feet. Connect with the feet. Spread the toes wide. And then take ankle circles nice and slow as you can. As if you're trying to feel every muscle, every angle in your feet. And then reverse circles. Connecting with the muscles of your feet. Feeling your feet, looking at your feet, bringing your entire focus to your feet. And then we're going to bicycle our legs. So start to bring a little awareness to the hips. Press the hips down into the ground. So really press the hips down, not the lower back, the hips and the rib cage. Let the arms be wherever the shoulders can be soft. And we're going to start to pedal the legs. So thinking about pulling the toes down towards the shins and sending energy out through the ball of each foot. We're going to activate the legs and we're going to pedal the legs, pushing one leg up to the ceiling as you bring the other bent and then switch. Just starting to really find the muscles of the legs, warming up, feeling, experiencing. Notice any compensation patterns in the low back, in the shoulders, in the neck. Try to keep this in the legs with just a little activation in the core, pressing the hips down to keep you nice and stable. Notice what happens to your breath as you start to focus on your legs. Nice, soft, slow breath. And then start to bring your pedaling towards the wall. So down from the ceiling towards the wall, nice and slow still. Watch for the lower back firing up. So if you find that your lower back is doing all of the work, don't bring your feet so close to the ground. Keep it in the core, in the legs. Really trying to connect with all of the muscles of the legs and the feet. Internal experience. Start to bring your feet back towards the ceiling as you're pedaling. And then bring your knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset. And then take circles with the knees out and then in, nice and slow. Little engagement in the lower core just to keep your hips stable on the ground. Really trying to feel the muscles that make the knee circles happen. And then reverse the knee circle direction. Soften the face. Soften any gripping around the neck and shoulders. And bring the knees back in. And we're really going to fire up the core. So bring the legs up towards the ceiling. Fire up the legs. Push the hips and the rib cage down into the ground, arms wherever shoulders are on the ground and comfortable. We're going to work with our breath. So inhale as you lower the right leg slowly towards the ground. Exhale as you draw it back up. Inhale as you lower the left. Exhale as you draw it back up. This is supposed to generate fire in the core. Notice if your lower back's doing all the work, don't lower the foot so low. Keep it in the core. Bring some fire and heat into the core area. Notice your compensation patterns. Notice any gripping around the shoulders, in the face, around the breath. Complete a full round and then bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Fire up the core again. Bring the knees over the hips and the ankles even with the knees. Really strong. Push the hips down. Push the rib cage down. Really strong in the core. Really strong in the legs. Bring the toes towards the shins. Push the balls of the feet away. Fire up the legs a little more. We're going to bring our hands to our thighs. And as we inhale, we're going to lengthen the left leg, left arm. Exhale, bring it back. Inhale, lengthen right arm, right leg. Exhale, bring it back. Moving with the breath. And trying to keep your hips really stable on the ground. Trying to keep your body stable on the ground and really fire up the core. Find your stomach muscles, your leg muscles. Soften the face. Move slow and with control and with the breath. Have an internal experience. Connect with the muscles that make this movement happen. Complete a full round. Bring your knees in. Give yourself a hug. Rock it to reset. Grab a block if you have it. You're going to place the block between the shins. Squeeze the block. Set up again. So bring the knees, begin with the knees above the hips. Squeeze the block just a little. Fire up the legs. Fire up the core. Push your rib cage down to the ground. Take the tension out of the arms. And we're going to move the knees left to right. Really slow and with control. Knees bent is going to make this a little easier. Your legs a little lighter. Knees straighter, legs long is going to make this more challenging. So begin with knees bent until you get the action. Take your knees a little bit to the right, back to center, a little bit to the left. Find the muscles. You're connecting with the muscles in the core. Checking for any compensation patterns. Check on the neck. Checking on the face. Check in on the back. Try to keep this in the core. Fire it up. If you want to move to the challenge, start to straighten up the legs with control. Slow, controlled. And if you're really struggling to keep this in the core, you can bring your fingertips here and help you really bring your focus right into these core muscles. Feel the sides fire up as you take the feet a little bit over to the right and a little bit over to the left. And if you think this is challenging, try doing it while you're talking the whole time. Bring the knees in. Release your block. Give yourself a little hug. Let go. Take some movements with the feet just to let go of any gripping in the feet. And then take the feet as far away from you as possible and the arms up overhead. Reaching long, stretching. Imagine somebody grabbed your feet and grabbed your hands and made you a little bit longer. And then take your entire body, your upper body, right shoulders over to the right. And then take your feet a little bit over to the right, making a banana shape on the ground and connecting with the left side body. Send your breath into left side body as if pushing it between each rib. And then bring your body all the way over to the left, feet to the left, arms and shoulders to the left, opening up right side body. And bringing the body back to center, knees in, roll over to a side and come on up to a seated position. Sitting nice and tall, finding your hips on the ground. Starting to land on the ground for a moment. Imagine making little pockets of space between each vertebrae. And then bring the chin all the way down to the chest. And all the way to the ceiling. Chin neutral, and then turn the chin back to neutral and back to the other side. Back to neutral. Take an ear to a shoulder. Really having that internal experience, finding the muscles in your neck that are holding and gripping. Neutral, and then ear to other shoulder. And then bring it back to neutral. And we'll start to move and breathe, opening side body. So inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, land a hand on the ground. Inhale up, exhale, land, rainbow shapes. Moving with the breath, having an internal experience. And then bring the arms up overhead. Reach the right arm longer. And bring it down. Reach the left arm longer, longer, longer. Bring it down. Bring both arms up. Reach up as high as the shoulders will go. And then find that activation in the arms and shoulders. Keep it and slowly lower the shoulder blades down. Arms strong. Watch for compensation patterns in the neck and the low back. And then bring the arms down and we'll begin to move and breathe. Tabletop to child's pose. So I am going to locate my haircut because I lost it. So tabletop child's pose. Inhale tabletop, exhale child's. And trying not to think about the shape, but that having that internal movement and breath meditative experience. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. And then come all the way forward down to crocodile pose. Stomach down, one hand on down, top of the other, forehead down. Shimmy the hips, loosen and soften. And see what you can let go of. We're going to reach and stretch from here. So placing your forehead down wherever is comfortable or lift gently. Take the arms out ahead of the shoulders, nice and long. And we're going to lift the left arm and right leg. So lift and then imagine someone pulled your hand, pulled your leg, made you longer. Take the tension out of the neck. Get longer, longer, longer. Lower and reset. Lift the right arm and left leg. And again, not high, but imagine getting longer from the fingertips to the toes. Breathe. Bring that down back to left arm, right leg. Lift and lengthen. Connect with the muscles that lift the leg. Connect with the muscles that are lifting the arm and pushing it forward. Lower and reset. Other side, right arm, left leg. Breathe. And then back to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. Let go. Find your breath. We're going to move and breathe here. Inhaling, lifting the shoulders. Exhaling, lower. So starting to connect with all of the muscles in the back line. Trying not to lift the head, but to lift the shoulders. Take the tension out of the neck. Try to find all of the muscles in the back. The glutes, the back of the legs, the low back, the mid back. Try to use it all evenly. Maybe start to lift the fingertips. And maybe even start to lift the toes. Trying to lift and lengthen rather than lift and grip and tighten and clamp down on those muscles. Have that experience of lengthening the muscles, strengthening the muscles. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you lower. And try not to flop down. We're active as we lift and active as we lower. Bring it up, hold and hover without holding the breath. Breathe nice and slow and soft. Imagine you could send energy out the crown of your head and take a little of that tension out of the spine, getting longer, longer, longer in the spine. Strong and active in the whole back. And then bring it back to crocodile. Shimmy to reset. Bringing our forearms down, we're going to move into forearm plank. So activate the forearms and the shoulders first. Tuck the toes. Start to engage the stomach to lift up the hips. And then imagine you're pulled by the tailbone. Lift up just to the knees first. Engage. Engage your shoulders. And then slowly lower down. Quick reset, and then up to lift to that same lift. Shoulders up, feet up, strong in the back. Bring the forearms down and engage. Tuck the toes. Bring the hips up, knees down first. Engage, find the core muscles, find the shoulder muscles. Lower, quick reset. Lift shoulders and feet if you can. Lengthen and strengthen. Breathe. Forearms down, maybe this time coming all the way up to forearm plank. Lift, bring that core nice and strong and active. Try not to lock the knees. Breathe and hold. Lower down, quick reset. Lift the shoulders and the feet. One more time, forearms down, tuck the toes, all the way up, forearm plank. Slowly lower, quick reset, all the way up, shoulders, toes. And then bring it down to crocodile, shimmy the hips. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Make your way back to child's pose. Take a reset, maybe leaving the hips high and thinking about a little space in the low back. And then all the way up to down dog, and warm up your down dog in whatever way feels good, pedaling the feet, moving the hips. Have that internal experience. What does your body need today? And then find the stillness of down dog. Connect with your head below your heart. Long, slow breath. Turn your world upside down. Look towards the hands, bend the knees, and either hop or float. Or step all the way up till feet are underneath the hips, bend in the knees, and let the torso find the thighs. Let go of the tension in the neck. Hands can be down. They can be on your back, wherever's comfortable. Let go. And then bending the knees, bring the torso even with the hips. So start to fire up the core. Start to fire up the legs, and we're going to bend one knee more than the other. So little soft pedals of the legs, engaged in the torso, finding the back of the legs. And then deep bend in the knees. Inhale, rise up, arms overhead. Prayer down to heart with the exhale. Connect with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Bring your prayer to your heart. Find your mountain pose. Maybe even close your eyes. Find your feet on the ground. Loosen any gripping with the toes. Loosen any gripping in the feet. Around the knees, around the low back, around the stomach. Soften the shoulders. Dive deeply inside. Have that internal experience, what is going on for you right now. Notice all the little micro adjustments that happen when you stand on your own 2 feet. Notice what the mind does when we try to stand in a simple pose. And as it draws your attention away, begin to softly bring your awareness back towards center. Feel your prayer at your heart center. Feel your feet on the ground. Soften the shoulders. Soften the face. Find the breath. And then we're going to connect with the breath for getting rid of a little excess energy. So we're going to bring our arms up overhead as we inhale, bend legs. Exhale, sweep the breath away, nice and slow. Add a little pause and then push the breath away a little more. Inhale, slowly sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, sweep the breath down, bending forward with the torso. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Add a little pause and then see if you can push a little more breath out. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bring your prayer back down, heart center. Land in your mountain pose. Reset. Do your check-in. Soften the toes, soften the feet. Soften the low back, the shoulders, the face, the breath. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive it down. Having your blocks handy. We're going to step back the right foot and land in low lunge. So low lunge, left foot forward. Begin to move through the legs. So inhaling forward, exhaling left leg towards straight. Just moving and feeling your legs. Internal experience, take any angles, any weight change that you feel your body needs today. Have your own internal experience. Moving with your breath and feeling your legs. Land in your low lunge with the support of the blocks, maybe bringing the blocks a little bit further forward. Mindful of gripping with the left toe. Set up so you're pulling up out of the ground with all of the muscles of the left leg. You're strong in your core, long in the torso. Try not to lock the back leg. We're going to come forward, bringing the weight forward onto this left leg. Maybe lifting the toes of the back and hold. So hold here, bent legs, stable hips. Bend the right leg and then bring the right leg towards the right elbow, trying to keep your base solid and still. We're moving through the hip. Bend the knee, bring it back behind you, bring the knee round. So trying to keep still with everything else and just connecting with the movement in the right hip. Slow and with control. If you want to pump it up, bring the right leg long and bring the right leg over to the side. Notice how much heavier your leg is. Trying to keep your base really strong and stable. And then lower the right foot behind the left. So cross, lower, come on up, curtsy pose. Inhale as you rise. Exhale as you bring your prayer to your heart. So curtsy pose. Right, left foot is forward, right leg is crossed behind. Then try to find your hips even. So strength around the hips. Hold. We're going to take little tiny squats here. So strong legs, little lower of the hips, and lift. Little lower, finding the muscles of the legs. Finding the muscles that keep your hips stable. Soften the shoulders. Soften the face. Bring it down and hold. Option to stay here if you'd like to try a challenge. We're going to bring the weight onto the right foot and lift the back leg. Balance. Little tiny movements. Challenge your balance. Challenge that left leg, which should be firing up, running by now. And then land the back leg down. Low lunge. Make your way back to your blocks. And then frame out the front foot. Left foot meets right. Find your high plank. Active and strong. Change your hand position in high plank. Just change it. Doesn't matter how you change it. Make your arms wider. Move your hands closer or further away from you. Change it. Change how you're building the strength in your shoulders. Fire up the core. Long in the torso. Active in the legs. Breathe and hold. And then lower the knees. Child's pose reset. Find your breath. Back to down dog. Lift the hips up out of the ground. Lift them high. Connect with your breath. Look towards your hands and make your way so that your feet are underneath your hips. Find your feet on the ground. Find your torso on your thighs. Let the tension out of the neck. Inhale, rise up, arms overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Connect with the breath. Inhale up. Exhale down. Return to your mountain pose with your hands for prayer and heart center. Perhaps even closing the eyes and drawing your focus inward. Notice what fights you. Notice what draws your attention away. Maybe just, I'm so tired of boring poses. Notice what the head is doing. Give it its 15 minutes of fame, and then gently draw your focus back towards center, inside to what's going on physically. And then inhale up, swan dive it down. This time left leg goes back, right leg forward, low lunge. Grab your blocks and begin to move and breathe. Inhaling forward, exhaling, sending the right leg towards straight. Firing up all the muscles of the legs and the hips, keeping the torso strong, softening the face, finding the breath. Ungrip the toes. And then set up in your low lunge on this side. Strong, pulling up out of the ground with all of the muscles of the right leg. Maybe moving your blocks a little further forward. Begin to bring the weight onto that right leg and stable hips pop up the back toes. Bend the left knee, and we're going to bring the left knee around and towards the left elbow and back. Around and towards the left elbow and back. Restricting the movement, keeping your base super stable. Right leg is nice and strong and stable. Hips are stable. Left leg is doing all the work. Or all the movement. Everything else is still working. And if you want to pump it up, start to straighten the left leg and bring that heavy leg all the way towards the left hand and back. Bring the left leg back behind the left hip and then lower past the right leg. Curtsy pose. Inhale as you rise. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, prayer to heart. So turn so you can see. Cross legs. Try to find your hips stable, even. Get long in the torso. And then little tiny lift and lowers, tiny squat movements, firing up all of the muscles of the legs, strengthening around the knees, strengthening the ankles and feet. Hips stable, so shoulders soft. And then bring it down, hover and hold. Challenge to bring your weight onto the right leg and maybe lift the left. And then little tiny squats here. Challenge your balance. Challenge your focus. Lower the left leg down. Behind. Find your low lunge. Frame out the front foot. This time send right foot back to meet left and lower down to the forearms. Nice and slow and with control. Engage the forearms. Engage the core. Breathe and hold. Feel like you're trying to pull your elbows apart, pull your hands apart without letting them move. And then little tiny movements forward with the nose and back. So moving through the shoulders with control. And then slowly lower the knees all the way down to crocodile pose. One hand on top of the other. Forehead down. And shimmy the hips. Let go. Notice what comes up in this pose. Connect with that space right in the middle of the forehead. And then roll on over to your back. Land on the ground. Take a little shimmy of the hips. And return to the pose that we began in. Feet on the ground, knees up, landing on the ground, and noticing what is different. Maybe even bringing your hands to your torso and starting to really focus in on the breath. Bring your knees in towards the chest. And then take your knees out and then in. Just circling the knees, circling the hips. Returning to that same circular pattern we did earlier in class and noticing what is different. Reverse your circles. Bring right knee over left. Draw the knees in towards the chest and feet to opposite shoulders. Breathe into the right glute area. Thinking about those fight or flight muscles. Imagine that you could draw your breath in right to this space, breathing in fresh and sweeping away any tension, anything no longer needed. With the exhale. Place the left foot back on the ground, knee up. Let the right ankle cross just underneath the left. Push the right knee away from you. Just feeling the hip connecting with your hips. You can bring the toes of the left foot towards the shin. Fire up the left leg a little more. Feel like you're pushing the heel into the ground. And then option to bring left knee towards the chest. Maybe straighten up the left leg. Feel which feels right in your body. Pushing the right knee actively away from you, not with your hand, but with the muscles of the leg. And rather than pushing this leg away from you, if you feel like you need a little more, bring your right hand onto the other side of the leg and push your leg even more into the right hand. So push your leg with the muscles of the leg. Notice what fires up. Feel free to keep your left leg on the ground for this. And then slowly unravel. Take a side sway with the hips and knees. Notice left and right sides. And then bring left knee over right, knees to chest, feet to opposite shoulders. And breathe. Breathe in fresh. Sweep away things no longer needed with each exhale. Notice what happens when you try to do that. Notice if you cognitively start to explain what you'd like to draw in and what you'd like to let go of. And just try to think about breathing in fresh breath and sweeping away anything no longer needed. Trying not to put a cognitive explanation on it. Just letting your body do what it needs to do. Lower the left leg. Lower the right leg. Let the left ankle cross underneath the left knee and push the left knee away from you. Keeping the hips stable. Option to lift the right toes. Maybe start to draw the right knee in towards the chest or straighten the right leg. Find the position that works for you. And maybe experiment with pushing the left hand into the right leg and the right leg into the left hand from behind. So you have that push-pull using the muscles of the legs, and not strong, just connecting with that muscular action. We're not forcing things into place. We're just trying to find the muscles and the gripping patterns and breathing to let them go. Slowly unravel. Let the left foot come to the ground, knees up. Shimmy the hips. Side sway the knees and hips. Nice and slow, not shimmy. Nice and slow. Rolling through the hips. Take the feet on the ground and tap them out as if you're really trying to just soften and loosen the feet and maybe even the muscles of the legs, tapping, letting go, and then start to shimmy the feet and the legs, shimmy the hips, softening, letting go, trying to feel the muscles wobble and shake and release any tension, release things held. And then take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, stop suddenly. Let everything land where it lands. Begin your internal check-in. So where does your body want to be for your resting pose today? Maybe you want to let the knees soften in, feet stay on the ground. Maybe you have a chair you want to put your feet on, or a cushion to place under your knees. Or maybe you want to go straight into full Shavasana pose, corpse pose. Lengthening. But taking a check-in if you come to this pose. Our pose at the end is a resting pose, a meditative pose. So if this pose brings tension and discomfort to the lower back, adjust it. Place something underneath the knees. Keep an eye on how tight the back of the legs feel. Find your position that makes you comfortable. This is not a final stretch. This is the pose of letting go, and perhaps the hardest of the entire practice. The letting go, the loosening and softening. So as you begin to land on the ground and let go, notice what the mind is doing. Give it its attention. Notice the mind. And rather than trying to shove it out of the way or force it to be quiet, just notice it, observe it, let it have its attention for a little bit. Try to look at the thoughts as they come and go, as thoughts that are coming and going. Not whether or not they should or should not be there, or what they should be thinking or should not be thinking, but just observing, looking, seeing. Getting to know yourself. Getting to know the mind and what it wants to do. And whenever it gets particularly feisty or in drawing your attention, draw your focus back inward and notice where physically you might have reintroduced a little holding pattern or a little tension. Check in on the shoulders. Check in across the mid-back, the low back, the hips. Notice the fists. Maybe you've brought tension into your hands. Notice the muscles of the face. Whenever the mind screams at you and draws you down a path, distracts you and spirals you back into its patterns, return to the body, the physical body, noticing tension, softening and breathing, and gently pulling your focus inside towards your center. towards your bliss center, your spiritual center, your heart center, your soul. And if this is not easy for you to connect with, you can simply begin the journey of looking for the sound of your own heartbeat, which requires you to become so still and so quiet within, and slowly lower yourself from the layers of the thoughts, from the layers of the emotions, from the layers of the physical body, and all of life, gently, gently, gently inward. And it's not that we're discarding all the other layers. We're just drawing our focus in toward the center. A place where we can recharge and reset. Give yourself permission to let go of all else for the next few minutes. If you have the time to take in your resting pose, please remain here for as long as you feel you need. You need to finish up at 60 minutes. We're coming up on that mark, so begin to bring gentle movements to your fingers and your toes. And slowly make your way over to a fetal position in whatever side is calling to you. Curl up in a little ball and reconnect to your center. Slowly begin to bring your awareness into the room. Notice sounds and smells. And then finish your practice, coming to a seated position, bringing your hands to prayer at heart space. Connecting with this gesture of bringing our left and right side to meet in front of our heart. This gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. She knows I'm not paying attention. She knows now's her chance to get her unicorn. May we all experience a little love, a little light, and a little community. Thank you for joining us. honey. Ready to go home?